This is going to be a second, isn't it? This is going to be a second, isn't it? Be a second. I'll tell you, the worst part of it is that I don't even need to be over here. That's the worst part of it. That's the worst part of it. When I could just be right here. Well, it's on now. The red light's on. We're already going. Nothing we can do about it. Good evening and welcome back to Cars and Comedy and the Late Night Playset. It's a mouthful. We're working on it. We're going to talk about that tonight, as a matter of fact. But in the meantime, now's the time to go click that bell, like it, subscribe it, ask it to move in with you. I don't know what you're supposed to do with that bell, but it's starting to get a little bit. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff we're talking about tonight that is old. There's a little bit we're talking about tonight that is new. The guest we had planned was Greg Grunberg. Greg Grunberg rescheduled for next week with Chris Jacobs because they're starting a podcast together. We decided to do that all together. Sean Bishop was going to come in place of Greg Grunberg. Sean Bishop is on the end of that Star Trek series job he's been working on for a while. So, looking at the monitor, it's all over me. Here's the good news, everybody. Here's the good news. This is over. She's here. She's here. Let's zoom that right in there. Get in tight. There we go. So anyway, Sean Bishop is on that Star Trek show, and that job ends tomorrow. So he's being wrung out. He's chained to the desk, as he likes to say. So no Sean Bishop. But with that, we are going to do something we have been wanting to do for a long, long time. And I mean a long, long time. We've been doing this thing for 4.5, almost 5 years. And I would say at least a year we've been planning to do the Origin Show. What the frig is this whole thing? Where did it come from? Why? Why are we doing this? How? How are we doing this? How did this come to be? It's ridiculous. I'm starting to sound like Seinfeld. What's the deal? What's the deal with the studio? Uh-oh. Oh, probably because of Pharrell. Sorry about that. And producer Mike wasn't here to tell us about it. Coming back, everybody. Mm-hmm. There we go. Let's see if this happens. You are now live. Yay. Anyway, it's the Origin Show. So, who is Nicole Ryan, right? Okay. Who is she now? You know. But who did she used to be? That is a mystery to some people. Who am I now? This guy. Who did I used to be? That's a mystery to some people. We get asked a lot of questions. I have written a lot of those questions down on a blue card. We're going to cover them tonight, as well as how we met, where we're from, all of the crap that everyone who knows us, you don't care. You've probably already heard it. But if you're a new viewer and you found us through we've had some great guests lately, so we've picked up some subscribers. If you're a new viewer and you're like, what the hell is this? Seriously. I don't know if we're going to answer that question tonight or not, but we're going to zoom in a little bit. We're going to focus in a little. There are some things we have coming up that we're going to be talking about. And the new website is finally up for the show. The one for the Autoimmunity Foundation should be up next week. Can't be more excited about that. Finally, things have taken forever. But when you're having people help you and when they're giving you a break on things, it's one of those pick two. 3, fast, cheap, good. Yeah. Pick two. Anyway, we're grateful, and check out latenightplayset.com. In fact, go there right now because you have 2 minutes before we're back to do exactly what I said, the Origin Show. And in the meantime, Will is going to kick this thing off. 2 minutes, we'll be back with Who the Heck is Mrs. Ryan? That's right. give us a minute. We'll be right there. Oh, just tying my. This is very convenient. I'm just tying my shoe. This is the tie in your shoe microphone. Thanks, Dave. Hashtag thanks, Dave. Thanks, Dave. Okay. All right. Woo! Got everything we need. Put everything we don't away. Oh, I forgot the iPad, but whatever. We'll can probably do it from my phone. Whatever. Whew. It's the same guy who was just standing over there talking a second ago. Good evening and welcome back. It is Thursday, November 10th, 2022. Oh, I forgot this. This is what I forgot. Now, how does that low battery? Good Lord. Thanks, everybody. Here. Oh. Thursday, November 10th, 2022. We're calling it the 11/11 show because tomorrow is 11/11/2022. And I refuse to believe that that's not something.
It's an astrology portal, if that helps in it.
Let us have it. Give it to us.
The 11/11 portal is a known astrology thing.
Well, and I've got my own beliefs about the powers of the ones. And
it's connected this year with the lunar eclipse, which is the moon hidden.
I heard, yeah, that's true. I heard that between the 1st and the 11th is like all sorts of crazy spiritual, astrological stuff, and the eclipse fell within that period.
It's that portal. November 1st, month 11/1, and then 11/11.
Yeah, I like it. You know, if you equate numbers to shapes, ones are circles, and while that doesn't make sense, it's true. Because you count shapes in numerology. You count shapes by their sides, and circles have one side. It's the only shape that has one side.
Right.
Triangles are 3, squares are 4, etc.,
right.
etc., etc. I don't know what 2 would be. Nothing. You can't have a shape that has 2 sides, can you? You can't. It would be an L, and that's 2 lines, not a shape. Anyway, help us figure that out. The 11/11 show, and it's also the origin show. We are going to talk about us tonight. It's not something that I'm looking forward to. I am looking forward to you doing, oh God, no. You doing a bit of it, though, which is, I think, going to be good. And then we want to take any other questions from people as well, if they pop up. But I figured the things that are on here, the hometown, the school, the business, Los Angeles, when we met, we'll get into all that. But then there are also all of these, like, how long have you been together? First marriage? Where was your wedding? All these crazy things that have come up over the years. I figure we get to all that. Oh, I should probably do the business first, though, because I'll end up forgetting about it, and that's no good. Although all of the sponsors, as I mentioned, are now very fairly represented in the sponsor section on the new website, located at latenightplayset.com. Or I believe it's carsandcomedy.org as well. And all of this confusion we're going to talk a little bit about it tonight, but it will all be straightened out, solidified, cleared up. You want a few more? In the next, for the new year. Next month or so. Yeah.
Good button.
Holy God, right? All right, so the business. All right, Adam Ferrara, our good buddy Adam Ferrara, is at the Tempe Improv in Tempe, Arizona, the Thanksgiving weekend, 25th through the 27th. Go to the TempeImprov.com. Get your tickets if you're in the Arizona area for the holiday. Byron Bowers is on his way to Atlanta. Go see him. He's doing a bunch of podcasts. Actually, I want to see if he's doing the rounds again. I want to see if he'll come to us because he was one of our first guests at the dining room table. We're in our dining room, folks, believe it or not. And he's just one of our favorite people. His special is great. We talked about it the other night, Spiritual N-Word. Check it out. It's on Hulu. Byron Bowers, Spiritual N-Word.
I love seeing him.
It's an excellent journey, excellent show.
Yep.
And I love seeing him live, too. His stand-up's great. I wonder, he's not doing this out. I'm sure he does everything. It's a little heavy to just bring to every town with you.
He might be working on his next show. I didn't talk to him about it.
That makes sense, too. Anyway, and then, we mentioned this the other day, but I just want to again. The Marconis and the Marconi Foundation down at the Marconi Museum, Automotive Museum, in Tustin, down by the airport. The Born for Fast toy drive was last weekend. We went. Our buddy Adam Ferrara went. It's put on by a lot of great sponsors and the Marconi family, but Sebastian with OI, I'm going to mention this as often as possible because I love them. I think they do great things. We're grateful to have an affiliation, a partnership with them, and it's great. If you get a chance to go down to the museum, do it. If you get a chance to go to an event at the museum, do it. Good stuff. They know how to put on an event. And that food, I'm still thinking about the food because there was things that I wouldn't normally eat, and they were delicious. The one thing I really wanted to eat, I couldn't because it had the mushrooms in it, whatever that pasta thing was. God,
Yeah.
that looked good. Jay's hungry. Okay. Magnus Walker's Urban Outlaw 10 exhibit is still going on at the Peterson through the new year. It's now through at least January. Check that out. It changes constantly. If you've already seen it, go again if you're into Magnus because it's already different. There's more stuff than there was in the beginning. We had a blast driving one of the cars over. Magnus made a video, or his team made a video that will be out soon. Can't wait to see that.
Yeah.
Driving 10 of Magnus's cars to the Peterson Museum for this event. And then our friends at the Hello Deli, your only source for officially licensed David Letterman merchandise is the Hello Deli in New York. Go see our friend Rupert G. and tell him that Nicole says hello, because not only does he love Nicole, but often sometimes she can't do it for herself.
No.
Yeah. But today you're doing pretty well.
Sure.
No? I mean, you're doing pretty. You might not.
Changes momentarily, so I'm reluctant to answer.
What changes it momentarily? Energy?
I don't know. Sometimes I can move my legs, and sometimes I can't. Like, I get really excited about little things. Like, I could move my right toe today. Like, that's a big deal.
Consciously, you could make it move. Ooh,
Yeah.
that is huge.
It sounds
People don't get it, but that's huge. Yeah.
It's huge for me. It's like a constant yoga class of like, accept where you are. Like, don't get ahead of yourself. Like, not everyone can do headstands on the first day.
Mm-hmm.
I was never good at that part, so I'm having to learn how to go slowly all over again.
I think of watching you try to do some yoga when we first met. And it wasn't that you were trying to do it. I mean, you were insisting you were doing yoga. And what I was looking at was, ironically, because you had just worked on that movie, but Jason Segel in Forgetting Sarah Marshall when he's drunk in the class with
yeah.
That was more of the, you were so locked up that I was like, I mean, I know you're getting there. You will be doing yoga at some point, but we had to move so much stuff around, loosen here, tighten here.
You're supposed to be flexible and stretch, I think, when you do yoga. And I was like, this is how you do it correctly. And I was really tight.
Yeah, it's the yeah, I mean, it is stretching, but you also need to, it builds muscle strength at the same time as stretching. It's very bizarre.
Yes, and I know that from athletes I've worked with, like Serena changed her whole thing to doing more band workouts
Serena Williams did? Wow.
rather than lifting, and she did it with the trainer. So I know there's elements, but I was always about to do things accurately.
And you had the accurate way to do it, probably.
By the book versus feeling through things. So it felt awful, but I was used to wearing high heels and tight clothes, like, to look better so it could be more successful at my job.
Yeah, you had a whole regimen in the old days. Well, we'll probably get to some of that, as a matter of fact. Can we get to some? Can we talk about some of the things you used to do when I first met? And I was like, high maintenance doesn't cut it. All right, so Hello Deli is at hello-deli.com. Hello-deli.com.
I remember.
Hello-deli.com. I know, it's a hard one to do. Hello-deli.com. Try it.
Hello-deli.com.
That's good. That's fucking better than my first shot. Anyway, St. Clair Insurance, let me tell you about them. They say, Jay says, all which separates men and boys is the coverage for their toys. What types of toys are we talking about today?
Collector cards, I think.
That's right. Irene Hoffman is here, present, ready to learn, ready to be entertained. Always am. You are awesome, Irene Hoffman. I think you're here without producer Mike tonight. Tonight's subject will have me happily glued. Oh, you're beautiful. You are beautiful. I need to get back to you. Mike told me you reached out about sponsoring the chair. That's so awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just need to find a way to respond to you. I don't know how we usually talk. Through Mike, I think.
Anyway, they say all which separates men and boys. That's right. That's where we are. Licensed in most states, St. Clair Insurance shops top providers, so you get the best coverage for your toys. If you want to see what I'm talking about and see why Nicole's laughing at the best insurance provider in the world, that's rated, folks. The best insurance provider in the world. You can simply dial up the www and go to coverageforyourtoys.com, coverageforyourtoys.com.
Coverageforyourtoys.com.
And while you're there, tell Jeff St. Clair that Nicole says hello because...
I cannot.
Yeah, especially right now. I don't know if people know this or not. Swallowing is very difficult for MS sufferers. People who have MS, that seems to be one of the first things to go.
Anything muscular.
That flap back there.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah. It's always relaxed. It's kind of always half open, half closed.
Yes, and MS makes us not be able to control when things are relaxed and...
You can't feel it for one.
Nope.
And then if you did feel it and applied whatever you would think to make it go this way, it would then go this way.
Goes the opposite way. It's ridiculous. You have to laugh because it's so stupid.
I hope people understand that I'm not just laughing at you because of your suffering. It does not make sense.
No.
If you don't laugh, what would you do if you didn't laugh? I mean,
I go crazy when I don't find the humor in it because it's so absurd. And it's nothing I would have ever put up with.
Nothing you ever would have put up with. No, in your old life?
Nope.
Yeah. I don't have time for this.
No one has time. I just said that today, no one has time for this. It's so dumb. So asking anyone to do anything, it's like something that should take a second, takes an hour. Fuck off. No thanks.
Fuck off.
I won't do it now. It's because I know what goes into things now.
Oh, how the soup's made? No, that's the wrong one. What do you mean?
That's the right phrase.
Okay.
But I didn't necessarily know or care, and now I have to, and it's awful. And I realize it, and I don't want to ask anyone to do anything because I'm like, you'd have to do this, and then this, and then this, and then.
There is no easy. I know people are always offering. Well, that's one of the things on. We'll get to the questions. All right, we're yammering again, so that's my specialty. But we got to do these ads because they're the most important part of the procedure here for some reason. This episode is brought to you in part by Series 1 Films. Series 1 Films is your complete resource to develop your brand identity and marketing using video ads and SEO to help your automotive business reach more customers. Send Series 1 Films a message today to find out more. Taylor, A+ job on this copy here today. This is a great card. Well written. Sorry, forgive me, but great commercial here, buddy. Check out Series 1 Films because of how much effort they put into this spot. At series1films.com, series1films.com.
Series1films.com.
Our Canadian friend is not here to denote, but it is indeed a number one. And I think that's it for the business, which is good. There's politics going on. There's still elections that happened a couple days ago, but they're still happening. It still isn't figured out, so sorry about that. We have no control over what's happening. All right, so let's see. VTR, hellos. New website. Check out the latenightplayset.com website. Look at this. It looks like this over here. Just see it another time. It's on the internet. There's too much bubble juice on this trackpad. It doesn't work anymore. But look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't it? It's much better, and it's only going to get better once the branding makes more sense.
I love that.
Yeah, it's really good. Very tight. Very nice. And
You did a great job.
no, this isn't. All right. Thank you. I don't want to talk about that. But appreciate the support. Let's see. We did the business prize wheel. Yeah, we're filling out the prize wheel. If you've got stuff you want to put on the prize wheel, things you want to give away this holiday season, you don't need to send the stuff to us, but just send us a message of what you want. In fact, don't send the stuff to us because I don't want to send this stuff out. There's just some stuff we already have here that we'll send out or bring to Breakfast Club, hopefully. But if you have stuff you want to donate, get in on this prize wheel. Promotional consideration provided by blah, 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 that kind of thing. Just like the game shows. Send us a message. Not a product. Send us a message. Did that. Letterman podcast plug. This week, I'll do it for producer Mike. He's not here. The Letterman podcast guest is late show writer Joe Grossman. Part 1 of 2 this weekend. GBBC we'll talk about tomorrow. Okay. Let's see. The origin story stuff. Now we have done it. We're back. And we're back. Woo-wee. Oh, this doesn't work now. Oh, no. What happened? Oh, my gosh. Everything went nuts. Boy, that was weird. Did you see that? Everything went away for a second. I got scared.
I do now.
Woo. We're just about to start the show here finally, half an hour in. All right. There's a handful of areas here that I think that you and I can both just sort of answer individually. They don't require stories. But what's your hometown?
Victor, New York.
Victor, New York. You moved around a bunch as a kid, but you sort of stayed in and around Rochester.
Yeah.
I was born in Stanford Hospital in Connecticut, but lived in Wilton, Connecticut when my parents were together. My parents split up when I was young, blah, blah, blah. When my dad died, but basically I moved. Jay should have thought about this a little bit before the show. I stayed in the same area like you. So I will just say Fairfield County, Connecticut. Spent some time in Danbury, Bethel, New Canaan, all those areas of Connecticut. and then, where'd you go to school?
Michigan. University of Michigan in Ann Arbor.
Your high school was still in Victor?
Oh, high school was in Victor, and Fairburn.
My high school was in Bethel, Connecticut, also Wilton, Connecticut. Switched there in the middle. Found out Wilton had that TV studio. You know where that story went. And then college, I was a terrible student in high school. I wasn't going to go to college. My parents wanted me to pretty badly. And I was just like, well, I'm going to go work for David Letterman someday, so I don't see why I would need all that. And they were like, but you would need a college to get the internship, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so what I did, I thought I was real smart. I go, well, I'll just do what I'm interested in. And I applied for the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. I'm pretty sure they'll take anybody. But I did get a scholarship, which was pretty awesome. I got a scholarship to because of, believe it or not, little tapes of the high school show that we used to do. That used to look like this little stupid kid. Yeah, look at that little fucker. Oh, God. Up with people, talking up with people. Anyway, but because of that, I got the scholarship. So I went to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. Now, you went to U of M, but not just U of M. You went to U of M and played sports.
I played hockey there because I got a swimming scholarship to UVM. Because my mom went there, I think, so it's a legacy thing. But I didn't want anything to do with anything anyone had done. So I played hockey in Michigan. I had my mom's and my brother's old equipment and just played.
You with your mom's and your brother's old equipment?
I had my mom's and my brother's old equipment. And so I played hockey.
I know. So, yes. Is that right? No,
Yeah.
I'm trying to... Okay, good. I'm sorry. I don't want to get lost because sometimes I space out and I'm doing a lot here and it's my fault. Okay. And then how when you were in college at University of Michigan, it's hard to say. I see your point. That's when you already started coming out here though for internships to Los Angeles. You were ahead of me on that one. You were younger and ahead of me.
After my freshman year, I came out here.
But what year was that? 97?
98.
98. And just for the summer?
Just for the summer.
Do you remember where you interned?
BWR.
Really? Where you ended up working? I mean, ultimately?
Yes, and
Holy
that's
crap.
the year I met Leonardo DiCaprio, who I had a huge crush on.
Because you're a girl in the world.
I'm a girl, but I'm a nerd like guys are with cars. Like all the gossip mags started then. And there was hidden pockets, so I knew where he lived and what his mom looked like. So I knew.
Yeah, definitely. Interesting. So that's so cool to me because you came out here a few summers and did internships at different places. MGM, I think of, is one. Like Metro Goldwyn
I
Mayer.
worked there. That was my job.
Oh, that's where you really worked. That was an
yeah.
internship. Wow. Okay, well, let's figure this. All right, so so you were doing internships in college, which then, of course, brought you out here ultimately. I didn't go to college. I floundered for a few years with my obsession with David Letterman, and I did work in the city, and I did different jobs and working on production. But like, if you're not really well known, it's like you're working 1 week a month basically. It's you can't really survive. Sorry, why did I say all that? Oh yeah, but that got me. Then it got me to moving out here, and I moved out here. I decided with the Danbury Chive, our East Coast feed friend, we went to a Saturday Night Live taping just to I wasn't working there, just to be in the audience. Like, actually, we hung out in the green room the whole time. But it was that night, May 15th, 1999, I still have the green room ticket, that I decided to move to Los Angeles. We had so much fun at the after party, and it was like, we're stupid car kid. You know, we met at Saturn, and he was working at BMW probably at this point, and I was, doing production in the city, and we were so not the type of people who should have been hobnobbing, at Lorne Michaels' table at Saturday Night Live. But we met the right people in the green room that night. So then we ended up going to the party with Sarah Michelle Gellar's team. You know how how it all goes. Once you're in, you're in, and then as long as you're a good hang, they want you around all night.
Yep.
And so it was that night that whatever that crazy taste of, honestly, it was what I thought the rest of show business would be, but it's the most honest interpretation of the rest of the bullshit show business. I got the little tiny bit of Lorne won't tolerate bullshit.
Nope.
It's Lorne's bullshit or no bullshit.
That's it. He doesn't waste time on anyone else.
So I came up through all that, and I was like, oh, well, this is great. I'm going to move to L.A., and there's going to be so many more opportunities. It'll be just like this, but more. Anyway, 99. And but from that night, it was like within a week or so that I came out here for a week to check it out. I literally booked a flight. Remember Priceline.com? William Shatner?
It's a big deal.
Priceline.com. Would get airfare from TWA, from the TWA hotel. It was still TWA then, at JFK, for like $200, right? A flight for like $200. And then on Priceline, you could also book hotels. So and what part of this city do you want to be? And I didn't understand or know anything. I just know Manhattan, And so one of the options was downtown. And I was like, oh, well, downtown. Oh, and it's cheaper too. Oh, totally. Downtown is cheaper. And you can get a 5-star for the price of a 1-star over, whatever. I ended up getting booked for a week at the Biltmore, the Millennial Biltmore. Not having any clue what it was, that it was in every one of my favorite movies growing up or anything. I pull into the garage, which is I'd never seen in a movie because it was brand new at that time. When you sort of pull into the building, you're almost in the lobby. You know what I mean? How it is now. But it didn't used to be like that for the movie, so I didn't know what the heck. And then I walk in and I'm checking in, and I'm like, there's something very familiar about the room that I'm standing in, the main lobby of the Biltmore. It's the room from Slimer and Ghostbusters, like where the flowers are still standing, where they catch the first ghost. We came, we saw, we kicked its ass. It's the gold room of the Biltmore. $100 a night. $100 a night. But the rental car was, I think I must have had unlimited mileage because I drove it effing everywhere. But I had to, because everywhere I wanted to go was elsewhere. Nothing I wanted except for my hotel was downtown.
Nothing's downtown still, even.
I was trying to find all the studios. I'm looking for NBC and Television City and all that stuff.
It's
None
all
of it's downtown.
so far from downtown.
Oh, well. But Priceline.com, man, was that like all the good shit. It's great for a while, and then I guess what? If people get a hold of it, what happens?
Yeah.
Virgin America was sick for the first year.
From experience, they started marketing to the top tier, and then everyone gets their hands on whatever it is, whether it's Priceline or airfare, and they just go to town.
Yeah. And then the competition comes up too, and then everybody's doing their own version of it.
Right.
What can you be? But I used to love Priceline. So it was a week after that trip that I came out and checked it out for a week. And then I flew home for Steve Straley's wedding. He had gotten married. And then it was 2 weeks later I had moved back. I think June 1st. I think it was something like that crazy.
That happened.
So 99, June of 99.
Really fast to LA once I saw it, because if the bug hits you, you just have to follow it.
Well, It's interesting what the bug is, because I've done some soul searching on this, and I think what it was for me was, I can avoid myself out here. Like, I didn't have to do the
Right.
work on myself that I was going to have to do to really crank it in New York. I was like, everything's bullshit out here. I can just float.
Same. I knew how to navigate that landscape, so I fit.
Let's see, business. When did you get into the business out here? I guess probably from your internships, or how did that work?
I ended up, when I started working, going to an event that BWR threw for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and I reconnected with some people there.
Awesome. From the internship.
Yeah.
And they were like, hey, you were a good intern.
When I
Or we liked you, at least.
No, it was all, we were all friendly, but there weren't a lot of interns out here. It was more old colleagues that worked at the company still.
Okay.
So when I decided to leave MGM, I called them and was like, there's a job opening at that building. Like, who is it for? So that's how that
And they
happened.
said, come on back. Sort of.
Eventually, yeah, the guy was it was the whole thing, but eventually, yeah.
I know the story. I didn't know how much you'd want to tell. The person you ended up working for was, at the time, I mean, he's still got a reputation, but at the time, he was like one of the biggest, most powerful, most notorious PR people in the business.
Yes, and I have to give thanks. The guy that I wanted to talk to about the job option was out of town and didn't get back to me before my boss asked me to come in and interview. And I got the job that day. So,
From him.
yeah,
Wow, that's amazing. And you ended up working there a long time, too.
6 years.
And what was the longest previous time on that desk?
Other than the girl before me that wanted a lot of money, apparently. 3 months.
Was the longest.
Oh, yeah. He did not put up with a lot.
No bullshit. No bullshit, except his own or whoever's own. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. So you got in the business before you moved to Los Angeles, basically, kind of. I mean, through school, sort of.
Yeah, before I...
You were already in school before you... How do we say? You made the contacts while you were still in school. You got the job after, but you made those contacts while you were in school.
Yes.
That's so cool. Stay in school, kids. I didn't do that. I didn't get much from the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. I also, believe it or not, once I got to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting, was like, it was so bad. I'm sure it's a great program now and everything. And to the program's credit, I was already working at 30 Rock during the day. I mean, hands-on doing real union-type jobs as an apprentice. What the heck I mean, it was truly like, you keep the microphone at a 45 degree, about a fist length away from your face, and you want to avoid hissing your S's and popping your P's and smile while you're on, because they can hear it. And oh my God, it was all about like being a radio DJ. And I was like, I'm making I want to do television. I don't want to work. Everything they had was old antiquated equipment, basically like we have here, but like we've got the new stuff and the old stuff. It was all old stuff, but nothing cool like this. It was just like, it doesn't matter. It was really great, and I'm grateful for the opportunity, but at the time, I wasn't. At the time, I was a little shit who was like, I'm not getting what I thought I would get out of this. And I was like, I can find it elsewhere, so I'm going to... It's hilarious. I don't even to this day know that my parents would know this. My dad's long dead, but... Although maybe that means he can hear me better right now. I skipped a lot of the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. I had to drive all the way to Stratford, Connecticut, which ironically took me about a half an hour longer than just simply driving into the city to New York. So a lot of the time I was supposed to be at the Connecticut School of Broadcasting, I was actually at 30 Rock, either freelancing or just hanging out. Did a lot of just hanging out. And I think that's when you saw Joey A. Big, when you were doing the Tonight Show with somebody, you had somebody on the Jimmy Fallon Tonight Show. It was all the same hallway that I used to work on at NBC. And I remember saying, hey, if Joey A. Big, I think he's still there. If you find him, ask somebody, just please tell him I say hello. And you did. And not only did he remember me, but he said, say hello, give him my email or whatever else. But he literally said, Oh, maybe this is when we were there in person. Maybe I was there with you for this. But he goes, Jay, I thought about you the other day. We had somebody on the show, and they used one of those old-fashioned RCA microphones. And because it's all I used to talk about, because I would ask Glenn about working there for NBC, for David Letterman or whatever. Oh, my God, why the hell am I talking about this? But I guess I got in the business. Is that when I got in the business? Why the hell am I talking about this? Connecticut School of Broadcasting, skipping school and going down to NBC. So I guess I got into the business technically in high school because I was a terrible student, mentioned that. But once I got to Wilton High School sophomore year, I saw they had that television studio, and I was like, what is this? Because I was already into all of it. And I started doing my TV show there that I showed you the pictures before. And then still a terrible student, and I was skipping. There's a common thread here, folks. I was skipping school to go to school to then only work on my television program. As in, like, there's 8 or 9 periods in the whole day, and I would call in sick for myself, take the bus to school, and then instead of going into the main building, I would go into the administration building where downstairs was my television studio. And all of the teachers would come. It's like where they made copies and whatever. And all the teachers would come in, and they'd be like, "Oh, Jay, I thought you were into whatever that." I was like, "Oh no, I'm doing this work study thing today, or whatever." Dr. Mel, the weatherman's coming in. Like, "Oh, that's so great from WTNH. That's amazing." And it was always misdirection. I was like this little magic man. I was like, "Oh, I'm not doing English today because I'm doing this little. I'm having Dr. Mel, the weatherman, come in, or some soap opera star, or some famous musician." Anyway, cutting school to go do that. But with that, the school saw what I was up to, and they were like, well, he's not afraid of doing hard work. He just doesn't want to do what we're telling him to do. So they, I think, probably wanting to improve their own numbers, they had a really good percentage of higher education. They were really trying to protect that. They said, you don't really qualify for this work-study program because you don't have a substance abuse program, your parents aren't needing you to work and whatever. If you didn't have to go to, what am I trying to say here? We didn't know this, but my town and I guess the surrounding towns offered a program where you could go to night school instead of day school. High school. We're talking about high school. You could go to the night programs instead of the day. And it was really for, like I said, substance abuse, home problems, that type of thing. Not for kids who just won't do it because they want to go work in TV. But they set it up. So I would go to, this is junior year, I would go to the local TV station in Norwalk, Connecticut, News 12. And I would work there on 3 live broadcasts every day. I'd go there first thing in the morning, and I'd set up for this daytime talk show they did from 10 to noon or something like that. And then there was a news program, and then there was an astrology program. All of these were in the same little studio complex. And I loved it. I was going to work in television every day. To the point where then I had no problem applying myself for 3 or 4 hours at night, in this night school thing. So I guess I got into it in high school. Long road. Junior year of high school. And you were junior year of college. No, freshman year of college.
Yeah.
We're pretty close there. We're really close.
Yeah.
It was 90, but mine was 90. Frig. You were college. It was 98, you said? 97.
I started college in 97, but my first year interning was 90.
The summer after, right.
Yeah.
See, when I was working at that news station, Letterman was still at NBC. I think he was just moving to CBS. So that's like 93, 92, 93.
Yep.
And I was 14, 15, something like that. Oh, my Lord. All right, next thing. How did we meet?
Through a friend.
Through a friend and colleague, Kali Landano. She used to be a producer she was Chris Rock's assistant for many, many years, but then she was a producer.
How I knew her first.
Yeah. And you did know her first.
I did.
You did, yeah.
Yeah, we went to Europe for one of Chris's movies.
Yeah, she told me that too. That one where he's a politician or an espionage, like there's a whole political thing is the one with Anthony Hopkins, right?
I don't remember. I just remember we hung out with the director after. Tom. I don't remember.
Hilarious. Okay. Let's see. I started working with Kali on Everybody Hates Chris, where she was a producer on that show. and that show started 05, I think.
I think.
So that's when I would have started with college. Oh, but we met through her. But afterwards, so you worked as Chris Rock's publicist, and I worked production on the actual show. And to our knowledge, we never met for 3 years.
I don't believe we did.
I don't recall it either, which is really hilarious because Colleen and I were joined at the hip on that show.
That
hilarious.
is really funny.
But we ended up meeting through her in 2010. I took a gap year where I moved back east it was really stupid because I moved back east, but then I started getting work out here because we built the time machine, and Back to the Future was like the 25th anniversary or whatever. So I started coming back here a lot. And in one of those, during that gap year, one of those trips towards the end of it, I met you on this trip. It was a holiday. It was Memorial Day.
Memorial Day.
And I was supposed to see Kali, and she double booked. Or the drinking went on too long, and one thing led into the other.
We were supposed to meet up on Friday, and I think we met on Monday. So she and I had lunch that day.
She probably thought I'd flake on her, and I didn't. Well, it ended up, she said, well, why don't you just, she said, well, let me just ask my friend. Maybe you can come over here. And you're like, whatever. And sorry. And so I ended up going over there. I picked up some bottles of wine, and I just showed up. They told me they were ordering food from my favorite Italian place right down the street that I introduced this person, Kali, to. So she goes, what do you want? And I go, I don't care. Literally anything from there. If you tell them it's for me, they'll make you something special. Like literally anything is fine. And then, so I go out of my way to get red wine to go with this Italian food and everything. Stop at 2 different places because the selection wasn't good enough to show up at a place where you've never been before. Somebody from the industry, like you kind of want to have a good. And I get there and there's Indian food, which is the one food I'm really. I'll eat anything because who cares? But, if you had to say what's the one food you don't want to eat if you don't have to, I would probably say Indian food. And I don't have a problem with it. It doesn't give me the runs or anything. I don't get it. Everything, the color palette and then the flavor palette is all too similar. I can't really figure it out. Maybe I'm not built for curry. But anyway, and then another thing I really don't use too often except when absolutely necessary is the microwave. So we've substituted the food without any type of update, which is totally fine because, again, I'm the guest here. I'm the one showing up. And she goes, let me heat it up for you. And I go, no, I'm fine. Just how it is. Like, off the counter is fine. Just make a plate. Like, I asked her to make me a plate because I don't know what I want from Indian food because I don't really like any of it. So just throw some stuff on a plate and I'm fine. She goes, no, I'm going to heat it up for you. And I was like, well, I don't really like the microwave. I don't really want it heated up. She goes, I'm heating it up for you. It's already happening. She's slapping food and she used to be very aggressive. And I ate it. And now we have this beautiful story. And from there on out, I think it was weird because we didn't get along at all. That was one of like 10 different things that happened that night where it was just like. And I don't know. Like, speaking of moving quickly, I feel like a week later I went back to the East Coast and I just drove my car back. And then that's it. We lived together from there on out. We've got an apartment together weeks after that, maybe a month or two after that.
I remember you coming out here, and you were seeing Sean Bishop a lot and working with him, and I was obnoxious, and that was my nature then, but like I was realistic also in that it was 8 or 9 freeways away. I'm like, I'll never see you.
Because Sean lived in Pasadena, where he still lives, and you lived in Marina del Rey, where I used to live.
Yeah.
So it was unlikely. It was like 6 freeways away and like an hour.
An hour, and I knew my life, and I'm impatient. I was like, I'll never see you. You might as well stay in my place.
And I think you also thought, well, I know how much effort I put into things. There's no way this guy will put in more effort than that. But the truth is, I did go back and forth quite a bit.
You're way better human than I am, and certainly was. So, yes, but I did what I hate about other people, which is what you tell me I do all the time. So
What is it?
I saw life how I lived it, not how you did.
Oh.
So I knew I had no time, and I wouldn't take the time to go 8 or 9 freeways.
Yeah.
Whereas you're nice, and you would.
It's beautiful of you to say that. Thank you. I feel like that is the type of thing you would do now. I mean, if you could, especially now, if you could, I feel like you would do everything for everybody.
Yes, that's always what's top of mind, doing things to make other people's lives better. But I didn't take a lot into consideration, including myself. But that was always more important.
So 2010, May 31st, 2010 is the day we met. It was a Memorial Day weekend, Monday. I had just left a afternoon barbecue at a burlesque show party. It's true.
Thank you.
They're like, oh, you don't have to go, do you? I was like, well, I'm supposed to see my friend, and now it's turning into this thing. Oh, why don't you just blow it off? Stay here. No, I'm not really that type. I kind of want to, want to see this person, and also I don't really do that. But it's funny how that is in everyone's nature. Oh, just blow it off and come up with everyone. There was 10 different excuses they all gave me. Oh, you don't have to leave.
Anyone that does that can come up with anything to say.
Yeah. Oh, good point. Because we're used to just moving the pieces around, cheating a little bit.
I got really good at it. Like, it's a weird mental trick of like, if I do this, I'm not alone. Someone else does the same thing. That person probably does. So play that game.
You got so good at it that you didn't know when the world got smarter and could see through it. Because not all of the world did, but like, some people. And then you would still try to do it, and they were like, no. And you're like, yeah,
Yes. By then, I loved drinking too, so I incorporated that into anything I could, and that slowed my brain down so fast.
So great. We can talk about this stuff now. It's great. All right. So we met in 2010, and when did we start the company together? I think it was 2011.
Yeah, I think so.
11 or 12, right?
Yeah, around then.
We started a company together called Regroup Entertainment because she did PR, and it was right around when you left it was obviously right around when you left your company, 11 or 12, somewhere in there.
Yeah,
and
it was what gave me the courage to leave that Playset and thanks.
So I would thank you. It was just an entertainment company. She would handle PR and branding and stuff like that, and I would handle production and consulting and things like that. We had the great ambition to be one of those 360 agencies, and I think had life not gone the way it did, I think we actually could have achieved that with some great success. It's funny because, for all intents and purposes, it was a success. It's just that we couldn't do it anymore. You had tons of clients. We had tons of work here and there. I mean, there was a couple of years where we were making really good money. It all went away to illnesses and whatever. But, I mean, it really could have worked, I think.
I do, too. I don't see it sustainable with just the two of us. And we went through people to help us that didn't have that same
Well, we made all the mistakes.
Yeah,
I'm
did.
not going to blame anybody else. We made all of the mistakes.
I don't blame anyone, but we made every mistake and didn't listen. I didn't listen to a lot of advice.
We, in my opinion, I think we... Oh, is this good? Tradecraft. If not, I got another one we can open up here. In my opinion, we listened to all the wrong advice because we listened to the advice that was easier. The advice that was, oh, yeah, we can just do this and we can blah, 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 blah. And there's someone, and we're like, oh, yeah, well, that sounds great. Then we don't have to blah, 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 blah. And then whatever. But whatever. We made all the mistakes. But it is what it is. If we get an opportunity to do anything like that again, there's a lot of shit I know I'll do differently.
Lesson learned.
There's a lot of parallels with the foundation, too, I'm learning. So actually, I guess we are kind of getting a chance to do it differently and better.
Yeah. I love that perspective.
But that was 2000, call it 12, I feel like. And we ran it for like 3 or 4 years. 3 years solid. That fourth one it went down because of life. That's when we were figuring everything out.
Yeah.
Couldn't do as much work when you're in the car going to appointments and doctors and all the other stuff. You were still trying to do it all, both. You get 2 phones and everything while I'm driving to Cedars-Sinai or whatever, but your brain was fritzing. It was too much.
Yes, and me being lovely didn't notice that, so I carried on as if everything was normal.
Until you couldn't.
Not knowing that I was tanking things.
Oh, yeah. Because because your perspective was just keep it moving, just keep the whole facade going?
It was that white privilege is gone. It's a gross concept, but like it was that mindset of like I can do no wrong. So I just carried on as best I could, doing what I could, and it's not enough.
No, it catches up with you. Yeah, honestly, we did that right up until the year when we met all of you, because it was right around 2016 that we started the Instagram and we got the Porsche at the end of 2015. It was right there. Boy, it's crazy how condensed it is when you look at it from far enough away. At the time, it seemed like so long. We did so much stuff in the period of time. Seems that way to me anyway. I'm sure from your old life, it probably was nothing. All right, so MS is tied to the same thing. MS is something that started when we first met, in that first year, you knew something was up.
Yes.
And we started doing everything I just said, going to all the specialists and figuring that stuff out. But you were still working, maybe not for the big company, but at least for our company.
Both the big company and ours.
You were at the same time?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, because I remember having a BlackBerry and having to answer to them.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Well, it was also over 6 months of time that we were going through every possible everywhere from Santa Barbara to San Diego, like every possible specialist, ocular specialist, neurology specialist, pathology specialist.
Yeah. And that was months later I started going to my neurologist. Like, I personally had to know what was going on, and that seemed more urgent to me than anyone else, so I pushed people to find out what was happening.
We post a lot of those memes on the autoimmunity page, Instagram, and so many of them are about how long it takes to get a diagnosis, what you have to go through, how some people are begging to get a diagnosis because it's not actually anything. It's not everything else. I think a lot of people don't understand that about multiple sclerosis and autoimmunity diseases, ailments in general. It's not like, oh, you've got this, and this. Well, MS, stamp it. No, they check you for, there isn't that. They don't have that because they don't know what it is. They don't know how to check for it. There are certain telltale signs that people have that they can look for. But generally, it's not until well after you've already had symptoms and you're already well on.
You have to be so far down the symptom line to be willing physically to do the tests that you need to do to be diagnosed for something that's going to impact your whole life immediately. So a lot of people don't get there.
It's awful. And so that was 2011, and call it 12 while we were figuring all that stuff out. And then I would say it was the same time Yellow Car, starting the Instagram, all that stuff, stopping working, all that stuff was 15, 16. And that was what we considered the life implosion, where we didn't know what to do. I mean, we didn't know what to do. Our old life literally just, nothing works anymore.
I hate to say I gave up, but I gave up.
We both gave up.
I didn't know what to do.
We couldn't have gotten ourselves out of that situation. Friends and family helped. You know what I mean?
Thank
so many
God.
people, it's not like we would have turned the gas on in the oven and just let it go. If we weren't that place, but like dark when just
Dark.
your whole existence is not there anymore. It's the rug is pulled out
Yeah.
in every way too. Having that happen in, or your job or your relationship or a death in the family, any one or two of those three things, that's a lot, but it's kind of like, that's usually all you get in life. This was like all 5 or 6 major things in life all imploded. Our place of living wasn't going to be able to be. We rented a place in Venice, and they were changing that, so we had to move out. Like everything at once.
At the same time, that's hard.
2016 started the Instagram, changed our way of looking at life and our way of living it, and met all of you fine people. No joke.
Yep.
And this is what we've been doing ever since. Ren Street Podcast is here. What is up, man? Great to see you. Okay, so here are some questions. How long have you been together? I guess we sort of answered that.
Since 2010, May 31st.
Yep. It's almost 12 years soon, which is nuts to me. Nobody thought it would last. If you knew how we got married on Kauai, woo! Oh, maybe that's on here. Hang on. Is this your first marriage?
Mine, yes.
I mean, real one? Yeah. This is my first real marriage. Sure. Have I been married before? Yeah, I've been married before. But it was in Vegas to a friend, and shoot, I used to have the timing in this right, but I can't remember because they're both so old, ancient now. But it was after Ross and Rachel and before Britney Spears, I believe, is how I used to say it, because I think that was true. Like 2001 or something like that. A friend came out to visit, showed her all around L.A., drove to Vegas, and we're like, wouldn't it be funny? Totally. It was funny for a very long time until she met someone who was in a real relationship, and because neither one of us actually acted, you know what I mean? We were like, oh, we're married. I mean, like, technically, nobody's actually living together or married. But then when you want to get married, I guess it comes up. You know what the hilariousness of this that I never put together? My first wife was an agent. She was a talent agent. It probably still is. And you were a publicist. Man, I really must have been trying to get into this business.
I think about things like that all the time.
God.
Everything you've done, you don't do it for it, but there's an ulterior motive to everything you've done. So,
But not really.
No, but like anyone
Subconsciously.
that wants to paint the picture can, and it's been done to me, and I've had to defend decisions and choices because I know the real reason things have happened, and it's not.
You mean with me or with?
Yes.
Oh.
It's not nearly as masochistic as it seems.
I would love to know what some of your friends have been saying. If this is something you've had to defend before. Also, if that's what your friends are saying, then how come you haven't made us famous yet?
Okay. It's my family that says.
Oh, well,
like
then
that.
take it out of the equation because nobody from no family understands.
No, and I know that now, but like after I had to be calm about it and know and be serene in my placement and knowledge of it before I can expect anyone to believe me because I sound nuts.
Okay. Well, I hope people understand that we could have done what people thought we should have done and wanted us to do this whole time. That would not have felt authentic to us.
No.
What we have done throughout, the good and bad, the ebbs and flows, the roller coaster of it all, has all been intentional. Like, we've definitely made mistakes along the way. Don't get me wrong, big time. But like, it's all been intentional to get to where we are today, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But you don't have to understand people's moves. Maybe that's a good lesson for all of us in life. Like, you don't necessarily have to understand someone's moves, but if someone tells you, like, I think I see a line here, I mean, don't poo-poo they're lying. It is what it is.
I feel like everyone wants respect, so give it to get it.
Well, with it, you're right. I want respect.
Just listen.
Human people.
People that are actually talking, it takes a lot of energy for me to form words, not everyone, but like listen to what people say.
Yeah.
I recommend.
Where was your wedding? Which one?
Quiet.
Hey. Sorry. They probably mean ours.
It was on Kauai.
On Kauai.
Gorgeous.
Shipwrecks Beach on Kauai. We wanted to do it alone. Badly. Because that's how we do things. It's not a pomp and circumstance type of thing. But, family wanted to come. So family came, and it is what it is. And unfortunately, it wasn't great. Some parts of it were really, really beautiful and spectacular. But unfortunately, some parts of it aren't either. And I feel like enough time has passed now. It's not on here. When did we get married? Was 2013. Met in 11, diagnosed in 12, married in 13.
Met in 10.
Met in 10. Met in 10. That's right. Excuse me. Sorry. Yeah, whatever. The wedding was what it was. But I feel like enough time has passed now where I'm even grateful for that. I feel like whatever happened created the distance that needed to happen for all of the people involved to grow and heal and whatever.
I agree. It's taught me a lot about MS because I can timestamp when things happen. And that showed me the emotional element of this. It's not just physical.
Yeah,
There's a lot.
you're right. Because when
Yes.
all that happened, it shut you down for a period.
It affected my brain, and you can't explain that to anyone. And so I learned the empathy with myself and compassion with myself to be like, you make no sense to people, but this happened, so acknowledge, own it, and move on.
We're all just learning. I don't think any of us goes out of here going, yep, nailed it. I know everything. I know everything there is to know. I mean, people probably do, but they're wrong. I think once you're on the other side, you go, whoa, I didn't know shit.
I feel like there's so much I keep learning from books and people and stuff. That's why writing is so important to me.
Kauai is special to us. That's why we decided to get married there. It's been special to me for many, many years. And when we first met that time, and I drove back, and it was all shortly thereafter. I think I told you we met May 31st, whatever. Sometime in that short couple-month period, she goes, oh, do you want to go to we're going to Kauai for my friend's birthday. No, we're going to Hawaii for my friend's birthday. Do you want to come along? And I was like, what do you? She's like, yeah, it's a bunch of girls trip, but like, I don't think she'll care. Let me ask her. And you did. And she goes, no, I don't care. Bring them along. And I said, oh, wow, that's great. That's amazing. What island are you going to? Because I love Hawaii. What island are you going to? And she's like, Kauai. None of us have ever been. We're going to Kauai. I was like, Kauai is my island. I know every single spot on that island. I know tons of people there. What's the plan? Like, when are you going? Let's see if we can do this. She was going on my birthday, which is when I always used to go every year. So it was one of those kind of a little too easy and weird. And you guys had that trip set before I came into the picture.
Yeah.
And then I came into the picture, and then we freaking took it over because everyone's like, oh, well, Jay knows that. Oh, well, Jay knows that. Oh, well, Jay will take us. Oh, well, he'll show us whatever. And it turned out we kind of wanted to break free and do our own thing.
Yes.
Here's what I remember about that trip. A bunch of planners, right? It's a bunch of planners who were planning this trip. I mean, planners. Everything's planned out. Too much planning for Hawaii for my taste. So much planning that the one main thing they really wanted to do, like this is the one, all these other things are I really want to do, but this is a must accomplish. It was closed the week we were there. The one thing that was like, we have to do this. The planner didn't know that till we got there.
Correct.
Hilarious.
And it was her birthday trip. Like, she thought about all this, except what wasn't going to happen.
It sucked. I felt terrible. I'm really glad she was able to go back and do it another time, but man. So we broke off from that little girls' trip at the condo whenever, and we ended up, I took you all around the rest of the island. We would spend days away, all days away. And got to the point where we actually even flew over to it. It was my birthday, as we mentioned, and some friends who were shooting some TV show on Hawaii. It might have been Hawaii Five-0 or some other show. I can't remember. On Oahu, they flew over because it was my birthday and blah, blah, blah. We hung out for a couple days. Then when it was over, they were like, well, why don't you just, if it's so bad, why don't you just come stay with us? We have a house on Oahu. Why don't you just come stay with us?
So
and we were like, okay. And we left our little situation and flew over to Oahu for another few days, almost a week, I think. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But Hawaii's been special to us since then. It was always in my blood, and then you fell in love with it when we did that trip, and then we just kept going regularly after that. I mean, at least once a year, sometimes a couple times a year if there was room in the schedule. There was always money back then, which was nice.
Yeah.
Room in the schedule.
When we could go, we did.
Yeah.
And that was so nice because I had never had a place like that before. There was places I felt I had to go, like home, and there was
Obligatory.
in the work travel, which was part of work. So I just did it. But Kauai was one of those places that I knew was special and awesome. So when we could go, we did.
Yeah. It was often spur of the moment, and maybe not spur of the moment like today, but it was like, well, I don't think we have anything in 2 weeks. And you were like, Just for Laughs is this week, and San Diego's this week, Comic-Con's over here, and this movie opens here. I could do 8 days. And I was like, let me get on with our rental people, because we had friends everywhere. Apparently it's really difficult to do now since COVID. A cheap, crappy rental car is like $1,000 a week.
Oh, I bet COVID knocked them hard.
Yeah, getting stuff there and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, they were all brand new rental cars when we were doing this, and we would get like a loaded up Jeep and we would do the Ohana rentals because we had Ohana discounts, family discounts, a lot of places because we would go frequently. But we would get a Jeep for like $500 a week, and that was a deal. Nowadays, if you want a Jeep, I bet it's $2,500 or $3,000. I bet.
Oy.
But I remember I would either look online or call our friends at Kauai Vacation Rentals, check them out online. Wonderful people, Kauai Vacation Rentals, and I would say, we would always ask for one of the houses we liked, and if not, they would always have a suggestion of what we could do, or if we didn't mind moving, they would always work something out for us.
Yeah.
And we would just show up. And I remember there was one time. It wasn't the wedding trip. It was the year after, because I remember it was the trip when Girk 2 came. Mm-hmm. You guys know Girk 2 from GC5 or I can't remember. He's got the Girk 2. Everyone knows Girk 2, right? G's on G. Yeah.
And he comes up to GVPC sometimes.
But he used to have Miller Chocolates. He used to have the 5C event, 5C club. Anyway. He and his family, he's an old colleague of mine. We used to work together. I used to work for him. We did jobs together. He and his whole family came out for 1 week one time, and we ended up staying 2.5, almost 3 weeks. It was like 2 weeks and 4 days because we kept extending it. Do you remember that?
Yeah. I remember calling the airlines being like, we're not leaving.
Yeah.
Take off, do whatever, but we won't be on that plane. So how far can we move our tickets?
Well, that was our plan, by the way. Hawaii wedding and honeymoon in one spot. That was our plan, 757 RT. What we did was we had the wedding in this big, party house is not right, but a big open floor plan, like giant vaulted ceilings house that is really nice to have a party in. But like it's a little overkill to just have a couple stay there the whole time. So we had the first week was at this big giant house, and then we're gonna move to that smaller house up on the golf course that we ended up actually liking a lot better, and we ended up renting that place like for the next forever after that.
Yeah, it's a great spot.
That was the plan. It was like, well, we're gonna get married with everybody public because remember we wanted to do this alone, but everybody's coming now. 20 people, 20 or so people came. Not a big deal. It's just that we didn't want any. That's not true. It sounds so dick. I'm so grateful to everybody who came. It sounds like such a dick thing. It's just in the beginning we wanted to elope to Hawaii. We didn't want
Yeah.
to have all of the hoopla.
Uh-huh.
We didn't want all the pressure and everything that comes with it. Anyway, where am I going with this? I don't remember why. I'm talking about this all over the place. Oh, yeah. And that was the plan, have the honeymoon in one spot. Get rid of everybody else, then we'll stay for another week and actually have our trip. Unfortunately, due to the first week, it was a bit of a bummer of a down week for you. Do you remember much from that? We
I
drank a lot.
remember being really sad and drinking a lot.
Yeah. I think you were self-medicating at that
I
point.
was self-medicating. I was pissed that we didn't have a honeymoon because my family usurped it. We were going to go to that memorial that, I forget, on a different island. My family was like, we've never been. We'll go. And I'm like, I
On
didn't
Oahu, we were going to fly over.
invite you.
Yeah.
So I remember being really sad
Yeah.
and drunk.
You know, I think what it is was we bit off more than we could chew. We didn't know how to handle things back then because we weren't our real authentic selves. We both thought we were so bad. And there was parts of that in there. But it's not what was leading the charge. It's not who was running the show.
Correct.
And I think that we were just both, while we were too old to be so young, I think we were both just very young. And I think the same thing with the other parties too. I think.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of immaturity on that whole thing. It was set up to be casual, and we don't do that in my house.
I know everybody wanted to add formality to everything, and I was like, but we don't have. Whatever values you're saluting, we're sort of usurping. We're trying to. We want to do this other thing. All right, so that's where the wedding was. Wow. One thing to wish for. What's one thing you wish for? There's no parameters on this. What's something you wish for?
Success. That's what I wish for.
Really?
Yeah, because everything else is manageable when that's in there. Did I say that wrong?
No, this is however you feel.
How I want success, I think, is the easiest way to sum it up.
I find when success to me is a byproduct, it's not a thing. It comes from other things. It comes from happiness. It comes from pursuing your your goals. It comes from giving and doing good in the world. I don't. Success to me is the byproduct of something else. So while I understand you and I salute your answer, I feel like there may be a core something that's before that.
To me, all of what you said is part of success. It's not materialistic. It's like, be happy is a better way of saying that.
Happiness.
Yes, I misspoke previously.
They're all good. These are all good answers.
That's happiness is the root of all of it, though. So things are cutting.
Well, I kind of tend to believe that happiness is a choice. I'm sorry.
I mean, I can't win.
No.
So
one thing you wish for. Let me think about that. I think that in my adult life, I'm getting better at knowing who's running the show, whether it's the adult me, the higher perspective me, the adult me, or the kid me that we've been talking about so much in this show, who kind of used to take the easy way or whatever, or shirk responsibility, or God, when I was younger, tell a lie, to try to get out of whatever the thing was. These days, I feel like I'm much better at it, but I still fail constantly. And if I could have one wish for myself, it would be more strength or more power to stay in that higher place, that presence, that wherever we are right now, where I'm thinking about my words instead of just yammering on. Do you know a thoughtful, present place to stay thoughtful and present? That's it. That's it. My wish for myself is to better my ability to stay thoughtful and present, because when I am better to the world around me, and that can be that can be you folks right here. That can be our friends at Breakfast Club. It can be you for sure, because a lot of what I'm talking about is me losing my patience or my cool or not seeing things from a zoomed out perspective because I'm too. Oh, this is hard right now. And happiness. All right, let's get to an easier one. What's your favorite memory? Can be anything. Doesn't have to be our relationship.
I think my favorite memory, though, is with you, and it's when we took that boat ride to Dingy Poker, but it wasn't the actual...
Oh, my God, really?
Yeah.
That was early on, too.
It was early, but I remember being so happy that day.
Well, hang on. There's a couple different times here. I'm assuming you're talking about going out on our friends Pete and Dean's boat. But do you mean the trip to Catalina that time, or just the time that we did do dinghy poker, hanging out at the docks with them, even though we didn't do a whole lot of dinghy poker?
The trip to it, that.
The trip to it.
Did I misspeak again?
I'm trying to narrow it down, and I don't feel
not
like
the actual poker part. The trip.
Okay.
Trip to it.
What happened that I don't recall on the trip to it? What's the best memory?
I remember being happy with you. That's as far as I go.
I don't remember it at all. I remember dinghy poker. I don't remember driving to it. You lived across the street.
This is where my memory gets funny.
Here's what I do remember. One time on the Catalina trip, same boat, same people, same dock, same everything, but we were going to our friends had a beautiful big sailboat, like one of those kind you can live on if you want to, like a big, beautiful, really nice sailboat. It wasn't a Jeannot, it was the other one. It was the fancy Jeannot. It was whatever the heck. Anyway, and on the way there, again, only lived across the street. On the way there, you were very upset at me for two reasons. Very upset. I mean, very upset for two reasons.
I remember that too.
One, they're both kind of funny. One was because I had recorded you earlier that the night previously snoring because it had woken me up, and I just couldn't believe it. I hadn't heard anything like that since before my dad died. He was a hell of a snorer, smoker and snorer. And this was just like something. There was gurgles, there was foam, all sorts of things. So, and I played it on my phone, which then played through the car, the 14-speaker Harman Kardon surround sound in the BMW. And you didn't think that was funny at all. And what I think the root of the problem was, and we got to it afterwards, was somebody was not happy with the liquor accommodations. It was no red wine, because keep in mind it's a sailboat, so everything's white and fiberglass. Things stain very easily. So like the official rule is no red wine. And she's like, but that's what I drink, red wine. So what am I supposed to do? Spend the whole weekend around just drinking beer? I was like, no, they this is going to be they're going to have everything. Don't worry about it. But those were the two things. That can't be the day you're thinking of.
It is, because on the flip side of how awful things can get, there's always so much growth and learning. I focus on that stuff.
All right, then it was the trip to
moments
Catalina.
like that still happen where I'm like, no, I know. And usually you're the one that shows me, like, no, there's a whole other world that you aren't looking at.
Different frequencies. We're all on different frequencies.
Yes, but you teach me a lot because I listen to you even when I don't want to. So,
a lot of families, and your family was like this, they would put the TV on the dial because the show was on, and then they would just leave it on that channel all day.
yeah.
Didn't matter what was on, what came and went. They're on that frequency all day because they just tuned to it and left it. Some people will go, I don't like this, and then they change the frequency. Oh, I don't like that either, and change the frequency. I'm not saying one way is better than the other. I'm just trying to give an analogy to how we both were doing things back then. If I didn't like a frequency, I would either change it myself, leave, go to a different channel, and I feel like you grew up in a place where you were just taught to deal with it. Sit here and deal with it. You shit your
Yes.
pants, just sit there.
We learned toleration through you have to put up with awful shit sometimes.
Yeah.
It is what it is. So I learned how to be tough early. And I have a younger brother, so everything was kidder to boyness, and that's inherently tougher. So deal with that or get out.
Still to this day, I think it's true. But when we met, she was so much tougher than me. Like, it's crazy. It is crazy how she would just charge into a fight when I was like, why is this happening? What's going on? She would pick fights with everybody. Anytime we went to a bar or a place or a thing, she would pick a fight with somebody. It was always because somebody bumped into her or their purse is over here or leaned against me on that stool. It was always something back then. I'm so grateful you don't have that in you anymore.
Me too.
My friend owned Harvell's in Santa Monica. He doesn't anymore, but he used to. And he used to run the sound and the lights and all that shit too. And one time we were there for this show that I used to go like to see all the time. And I was a regular there and everybody knew me, so that this wasn't an issue. But it would get really, really packed because it was a very, very popular show in a really, really small packed room. And I just remember like some guy, like it was just packed and we were all like sort of sardines, but some guy was near you and you were like, hey, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, I don't know what your problem is, but he started going back to you because he was like, what's your problem? And then you had him tossed out. You're like, hey, blah, 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 get out of here.
Listen, I was a jerk. I accept it. I think everyone plays a part. I definitely was louder.
We do all play a part. That's a very good point, too.
I didn't always play a very good one, but you met some of the people I've worked with, and that rubs off.
Yeah. It's tough, too, because you've worked with a lot of high caliber perfectionist type people. They're perfectionist type people because of because of the level at which they operate.
Yeah.
And it's tough if you're used to being in that environment and then you go out in the real world. Yeah, nobody's up to your standard, of course.
No, and I'm learning it now, but I wasn't graceful about anything then. So good luck to anyone like old me.
Grace is a blessing once you learn it, but I feel like it's going to be a struggle forever, always for all of us. Poise and grace are both. I don't know. I struggle with both.
Yes, thanks.
Oh gosh, my favorite memory. Oh gosh, we gotta wrap this up. Maybe we don't have time for my favorite memory. What's your best meal? Ever, anywhere? Where's the best meal for you, or what was it?
I don't remember. I liked whatever we had at the Griswold Inn.
Oh wow! I wonder what we ate. I probably would have gotten lobster if they had it, or prime rib, because that's what my dad and I always used to get when we were there. But good for you, the Griswold Inn in Essex, Connecticut. Shout out to the old Grizz. It's the nation's, let me get this right. It's the oldest continually operated inn in America, like in the country.
Yeah, and it's legitimately like old style good food.
It's from the Revolutionary War. The place was established in 1776. It looks like it. It's that type of old room. They have. They were voted best drinking room in America by some New York magazine. It might have been the New Yorker, actually. But they have a tap room in there. It's beautiful with the big stove in the middle. It's always decorated for Christmas. Beautiful old Victorian-style place. Victorian style isn't right. I guess colonial style, maybe. Anyway, super cool. The food's excellent. For me, I'm going to go to Connecticut again as well, and I'm going to say... This one's weird because the restaurant it's a different name now, but it used to be called Portofino in Wilton, Connecticut. Grew up with this place. Actually, when I grew up, it was a bank. It was a bank and a post office. But shortly thereafter, Portofino moved in and they started making pizzas, and it was just a pizza place. And the town was dry when I was young. There was no booze. You had to go over the town line if you wanted to buy booze. To Elmer's Town Line Liquor, no joke. But then they put some tables in there, and then you could have your meal in there, and then they started putting real food on the menu, not just pizza. And one thing led to another, and it ended up becoming like one of Fairfield County's best restaurants. Family owned. Shout out to Tony and Nikki and everybody from there. It was a place my dad used to frequent, and my dad was there so frequently, in fact, that they wrote his name on the bottom of his bar stool. Anyway, Portofino, Connecticut. Any meal I've ever had there is my favorite. You can go simple with a chicken parm, or you can get into their heavy pasta dishes like the Pagliafiano, which is an angel hair and cream with peas and prosciutto, and it sounds heavy and delicious and rich, and it is. It's so good. The bacon is not smoky, so it doesn't have that kind of weird thing that you might be thinking. It's incredibly clean tasting and so good. I want it right now. Quite frankly, their pizza is delicious too. It's called the Red Rooster Pub now. Is that right? Oh boy. I hope that's what it's called.
It's yummy pizza. I'll say that.
Hope it's still there. It'd be funny if I was talking about it. It's not even there anymore. Red Rooster Pub. Well, that wasn't in Drescher. That was somewhere else. Anyway, shit. Maybe they're not in. Oh, here it is. Woo! Thank goodness. Oh, Red Rooster Pub, Ridgefield. All right. Well, there's one in Ridgefield now too. Whatever. Check it out if you're in the East Coast. Really, really good. Destination wedding. Everyone wants the bride and groom's attention. Yeah. We sort of set that up because we were like, we did, what was the knot? You do the website and then everyone looks at you do all the plans on the website, then you send everyone the website and then they go, oh, here's the itinerary. Here's all the plans. All of the friends were so on board with that. The family was like, we're not looking at it. Just tell us. And we're like, we spent a lot of time and effort to make sure that this all checked out and everything went to, and this is all a whole built thing. Can you just look at it? Would that be okay? And then we can maybe answer the questions after you've looked at it. That ended up being a problem.
Yeah.
Man, it's a bummer. I think this is a good point, though, I think that they make. I think everyone probably just wanted your attention. Everyone wanted it to be what they wanted it to be. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And I feel like on the day, it comes down to what the bride and the groom want it to be.
Yeah, and I feel like the way we stated it was, if you want to come. See where we love most of all.
Yeah. If you want to come take a Hawaiian vacation, we're not paying for any of this. If you want to come take a Hawaiian vacation with us and be there while we get married, you are by all means invited. But it's not a thing. Like, we'll see you the night before. We'll see you at the thing. Otherwise, enjoy your trip.
And we said that, and I wanted people to listen, and I feel like friends did.
Oh, very much so. Incredibly respectful. Without the friends, I don't know, we would have made it
Oh,
home.
yeah. Saving grace.
Shout out to everybody who was there. All right, best meal. I think that's good for tonight, don't you think? There's another one on here. Who's your best friend? Do you have a best friend?
No.
You don't have a best friend?
No.
Do you need one? You need one, maybe. Everyone should have a best friend.
It's been so long without one. I don't think I would know what to do with anyone other than you at this point.
So I'm your best friend?
No. I want someone who wants to be my friend, and that's not always you. So I understand.
Oh, well, forget it. No, never mind. I'm out. That's hilarious. I don't, whatever. I mean, the couples can be best friends and everything. I think everything that we lived through and everything, I think you should have a best friend. I wish you did. Are you taking resumes for best friends right now? Is that something you would consider hiring a position?
Totally.
Oh, okay. Well, so if you're out there and you want to be Mrs. Schrine's best friend, Nicole's best friend, create a new identity separate from the Ryan, by all means, submit your resume. Late Night Playset /jobs@gmail.com. And all right, here's the last one. And for me, the answer to that is I don't have a best friend. My whole life, I've not had a best friend. I've always had, it takes a lot to get in, and I only have room mentally for so many people. And it's my shortcoming. It's not anyone else's. It's like there's only so much. I got too much ADD. And if there's anything else, I'm like, whatever, hemorrhaging. So if you're in there, you are one of my best friends, and you know that because we talk. I'm not good with that either. I don't like to text. I don't like to talk on the phone. Is okay. I'm better with FaceTime nowadays, but man, it's just not for me. I come from a different time. I come from a different world. I like seeing people face to face. I like connecting with people.
Same.
The Zoom world does not work
No.
for me. I just had one of the biggest. All right, we'll wrap the show up with this. All right. I just had one of the potentially biggest meetings of my life the other day, and it was via Zoom. Didn't feel shit. I didn't feel shit. And technically, it would be considered a win, a yes. We like it. Let's go down this road. And I was like, oh, I mean, great, I guess, All right, well, I heard a yes. I always like to end my meetings when I've heard a yes. So have a great day, everybody. But it's not the same as like being in the room and then me feeling that person's energy and me knowing they get it. And I don't know, it just doesn't work for me. And maybe I need more experience, but I don't like it. I don't like it. It's only like the third Zoom I'd ever done. Remember some casting thing wanted me to do a Zoom once, and I've had to do like one or two I did a podcast or two on Zoom. But otherwise, I don't know. FaceTime me, I guess, maybe. Last question. How can we help? And then I'll wrap it up with the show stuff.
Is that what we're asking?
Yeah, it's the last question. How can
we help?
This is someone's question to you. How can we, is the greater we, the universe, how can we help? Nicole. Hey, Nicole, how can we help?
Be a neurologist or be positive. Like, it's really simple. One of those two things.
All right, but you're coming at it pretty aggressive. Are you aware of that? It's pretty simple, people. Just pick one.
I'm not good with that question because I feel like it's obvious, and I don't like saying obvious things because I used to do it all the time.
It's not up to you. What's obvious? You don't have to answer this question if you don't want, but you're being a fucking difficult witness, I'll tell you that.
Well, that I don't mean to be. So be happy is all I would say.
That's a good answer. How can we help? Be happy. It's tough because we have been great already to us.
Yeah.
And this community that we have helped foster. I don't think that we created it, but I do think that it's here, and I think that you being good to us and us still being here with you has been a good relationship. I mentioned the new website. Go check out the new website. You can help you there. The Autoimmunity Foundation website will be up next week. It will be a very different version of polished than this. It's much more simple and quiet, much more subdued. But the donation page will be up finally. Thank goodness. I mean, you can still do it through Venmo and PayPal, and I guess you can do GoFundMe or whatever too. But I think now there will be like an official thing. So in the future, we're going to be soliciting because all of this stuff requires money. I will tell you that over the holidays, no details yet, but over the holidays, it's exciting to announce. I wish our buddy Canada Mike was here. We will be doing a telethon.
Wow.
I don't know if it's Nicole's kids. I don't know if it's Jay's kids. I don't know whose kids we're playing for here, but we will be doing a telethon for, here through the for the Autoimmunity Foundation, and so I guess maybe just stay tuned. Stay tuned. Thanks for being here. How can we help? I like your happiness thing. That's a choice. Decide to be better. How can you help? Here's what you can do for me. Decide to be better.
I love that answer.
It's hard. It's really hard. The decision's easy, actually, but living up to it's hard.
Yeah.
I find that we're all in this together, and no matter who wins the election, half of the people are, we're all still here. It's weird. It's like, oh, once the election, then there'll be a decision, and then we'll all know what to. It's like, no, nothing actually happened. It's all sort of pomp and circumstance and smoke and mirrors. Like, we, the people, all still have to live together and get along with one another, and that's the most important part. And I don't think a red or blue decision changes that. It's all up to us. So I would like to end this episode by saying I'm grateful that you were all here today. Please stay tuned because we have a lot of exciting show announcements in the coming month or so. Thanks for being here for the Origin show. But please decide to be better for yourself and for one another, because I love you and we all love you. And we know you love us. You show it all the time. So love is the answer. I guess that's it. It's that simple. Love is the answer. Generation X. I love it. I can't remember why. But I think that's it. Are we good?
I think so.
St. Clair Insurance, we did all the, we did your commercials earlier. We did it. We've been doing them earlier in the show lately. So as to Jay doesn't forget. And also you're on the new website as well in the sponsors section. And also I know I got to get you an invoice. All right. The rest of this is for off the air. We love everybody. Please love one another. What's happening actual show-wise? Follow New Life of Old Nicole, Cars and Comedy 111, Cars and Comedy Show, Auto Immunity Foundation, Good Vibes Breakfast Club. Blah, 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 blah. We are back next week with Zach Clapman and Kat DeLorean. Good shows. Lots of updates on both. And I believe Zach Clapman steered clear, didn't get the COVID, which is good. We were just careful last time. Awesome. And Kat DeLorean has a lot of announcements on the new DeLorean Next Generation automobile. That's right. It's actually happening, folks. It's really, really happening. It seemed like a pipe dream. It's really happening. That's it. We love everybody. Mini updates next week. Oh, wait, shit. Which car should we bring to Breakfast Club tomorrow? We sort of tentatively decided yellow car. But then now I'm up in the air. I'm fine either way. There's a couple things to do this weekend, so.
Really? I don't know. Unless Paul Connell chimed in, I'm still angling for yellow cards.
All right. We love everybody. Talk to you later. See you out there. All this stuff. Love one another. That's the most important part. Thanks, Instagram.